Kim Chalmers here, standing in our bush vine block looking over the Merbeen vineyard to just tell you a little bit of the Chalmers story. Who are we? Where have we been? What have we been doing all these years? Well, my parents started off in the wine industry as fifth generation farmers, but the first to get into wine. They were grape growers and then they started a vine nursery, and through that vine nursery they introduced a whole lot of new varieties, mostly out of Italy, into the Australian market. And in the last 20 years, those varieties have absolutely changed the face of wine in Australia. People thought they were mad at the time, but they're keen. They're always looking for the next big thing, and they're interested in sustainability and diversity long before they were just buzzwords that people love to use. So here we are, 20 years later. We now have vineyards. We have the nursery, which is much smaller and now just focuses mostly on the Italian varieties, and we also make wine. We've been making wine since 2003, and recently in the last few years we've moved all our winemaking operations in-house here at Chalmers in the Merbeen winery. So what do we do? Why do we do all this crazy stuff? Well, we've got 50 different varieties in the vineyard, and we're always looking at all those different varieties to see which ones perform better here or there or in this season or in that season, and which ones make the kind of wines that people want to drink. We're not only doing this for ourselves, we're doing it for the whole industry, and we share that knowledge widely. It's wonderful to see many of the varieties that we pioneered, like Vermentino and Nero, now taking root and changing the face of regions like McLaren Vale. We're excited about that. But what do we do? Where do we make wines? We started off here in the Murray-Darling region, and we still live here and have our winery here. But we grow grapes both here and in Heathcote, in the northern part of Heathcote on the Mount Camel range. So the majority of our branded wines are now grown at that Heathcote vineyard. We use about a third of the grapes for our own wines, but we still sell to other winemakers too. So it's exciting to be part of a wider community working with these varieties. But at Chalmers, we've established our wine brand around varieties that do well in warmer, drier areas. We're looking to grow varieties that use less water, that require less inputs, that make better wines with less mucking around in the winery. If we don't have to add something, we don't want to. And in the vineyard, we're always looking at soil health, balanced vines, and a happy environment to produce the best wines we possibly can. We're not stopping here. We're not waiting around to see how these first 50 varieties go. We're still importing new varieties, and we're about to release Falangina and Pecorino from our Heathcote vineyard. We've also got new varieties in quarantine coming through now, new clones of Nero, since there's only one clone in Australia so far, and some other exciting things which we'll be announcing soon. But what we're most passionate about at Chalmers is growing the right variety in the right site to make a really true Australian wine. Just because we use Italian varieties doesn't mean that we're trying to emulate something Italian. We're trying to create the regional Australian wines of the future by growing the right thing for our own backyard. Thanks for listening, and hopefully now you know a little bit more about Chalmers.